So welcome Kushal, Pratik and Sanitya. For our viewers, I'll quickly introduce each of you. Kushal, of course, used to head content for both Elo and ShareChat. And Pratik used to head growth at both Pocket FM and Meesho. And Sanitya, again, used to be a senior engineering manager at ShareChat. So welcome, gentlemen. Very, very excited to have you.
Thanks, man.
Great to be here, man. Yeah.
So for our viewers, I'll very quickly, articulate our high-level investment thesis, and of course, we'll hear a lot more from you during the conversation. But in a sense, I think there were really two key attractions why, at least, which compelled us to invest in Flick TV. One was the belief in the category of microdrama. We truly believe that this will get acceptance from the Indian customers. It's a little best of worlds of drama as well as short video. And the second and most important was the three of you. I think the three of you, bring together the three pillars, which at least in our view are key success drivers for this business, which is content, growth, and AI and technology. In addition, we had a bias to, not back any team which comes from the media background and has strong judgments on or strong biases on what content will work and will not work. We think that that will not scale and is a baggage for this category. So those two at least were key pillars of our investment thesis. So origin stories are always very, very interesting. Kushal would love to understand that, how did this idea come together? How did this team come together? Shed some light on it.
So I think at least the idea came when I saw my mom watching these shows, like small 2-minute videos on Facebook, right? And she was consuming a lot of it. And I come from a content background, right? And when I saw those videos, I realized these were getting like 150, 200 million views. But yes, the challenge remains that like the ARPU in India is the ad ARPU is very low. And these creators are not able to monetize, right? But yes, the storytelling has shifted to snackable format. It has shifted to mobile, and creators also in fact have realized this, right? And that is where we thought like it's a good way to kind of provide a platform where people can actually tell stories in a snackable format to the users, yes.
Wow, when your mom has truly moved to this content consumption format, one knows that, this will just work.
Yeah, just adding one point, like she keeps on sending me those videos now because she feels that because of those videos we got the funding. So, yes, but yeah.
And would also love to understand how did, maybe Pratik, you can opine about how did three of you come together as a team? Why did you decide to start with each other?
Yeah, sure. So I think Kushal and I go long back. We met first year Pilani, so it's almost 15 years now. And we had also our first startup together. That was in EdTech space. And this is our second innings. So I think Kushal keeps snatching me whenever I am heading something in corporate. He keeps snatching me for his ideas. When Kushal came to me and pitched this idea of a snackable video platform, I also come from, I myself am a very, very video super binger kind of thing, OTT super binger. So I kind of related to the idea because my consumption has also moved towards phone. Like I watch a lot of Instagram, a lot of YouTube shorts compared to, let's say, 2-3 years back. And coming from Pocket background, that also taught me that there could be a model where you can actually have a story as your hook compared to a branded hook, which typically runs in OTT. So combining both of these, I really thought that, okay, this could be something which can go big in the next 2 to 3 years. And that's where we hit the pedal on it and started this.
And I think Sanidhya was very, very obvious. Yes. I think AI and technology are a very core part of the business, and both Kushal and Sanidhya, I believe you had been colleagues at ShareChat.
Yes.
At least, during the process that we ran before the investment, one of the things which really impressed us, and it was very, very clear to us, was the chemistry between all of you. And I think, the roots of that chemistry lies with the time that you guys have spent in the hostels of BITS Pilani, and of course, running a startup together and then deciding to again start up with each other together. So that's fantastic to see. I think for our audience, also actually, define or talk about what is this micro drama as a category, because at least it is indeed a sunrise or emerging category. So what is this category?
Yeah, so microdrama, right? So maybe I'll just take a step back, right? And I'll take, there are three places where you consume content. First is cinema, right? It is social, right? Larger than life, right? So you have categories like which are storytelling based, action, horror, right? Everything which is based out of sound. Then you have the second watch time, which is predetermined TV time, right? Generally, you go back after your work, you watch the content, so you know that you're going to watch maybe Stranger Things today or Stree 2 today, right? The third content watch time is the personal time, right? Which is your mobile time, the snackable time, right? Right now you have Instagram Reels or Shorts there, but microdrama is basically trying to carve out a space in this snackable segment, right? Which is what the storytelling format Pratik was talking about. Now, a typical microdrama is very simple, right? It is 2 to 3 hour longs, 60 to 70 episodes, 2 to 3 minutes each. Every episode has a hook. People are basically tempted to go into further and further down the series with those hooks, right? And it's fast paced, it's binge worthy, basically suited to the lower attention spans of the new age audience.
So, at least when we were speaking, and at that time I had not experienced microdrama as a user, I just had this bias that maybe it's not for me. And then I started consuming when we launched. My God, it is very, very addictive.
Addictive, yes.
And you leave the episode with a cliffhanger, it forces you to watch the next episode. Pratik, can you articulate or rather paint a picture of, who is our user and what is the problem that we are solving for? And is this a stated problem or is this more a latent need?
Got it. So let me take a step back. When we were trying to start it, we were also interviewing a lot of folks, trying to understand who is our consumer, who is our ICP, and right now, what are they consuming? So two primary ICPs came when we interviewed a lot of folks. One is homemaker, and second is commuters. Now these are the two folks who are also time rich in the sense that they have a lot of small pockets of time where they need certain entertainment. And right now they are filling those time pockets with reels and shorts primarily. So just to give you a very startling figure, almost 70% of the video entertainment time has now gone into those smaller pockets of 10-15 minutes throughout the day. So this was a very, very aha moment for us that 70% of the consumption time has moved to phone. And the only option for these folks are reels and shorts. When we actually tried to understand and go deeper, one of the problems that came was while they're using a lot of Instagram and YouTube shorts, the residual attention is very, very poor for these. So for example, even if I ask you right now that what are the last 5 reels that you've watched, you probably would not remember, right? Because there's no connectivity after you put off the phone. And that's sort of a latent need, which we figured out while talking to a lot of people, that most of the people are not are guilty of using Instagram for a longer duration of time. And they need some kind of stories which actually travel with them, which actually is more connected to them in their whole daily life schedule. And that's the thing that hit us, that, okay, there could be a possibility of creating a snackable, creating a connected storyline format suitable for snackable consumption. And that's what we are trying to build. How do we have a deeper storytelling, but also satisfy the snackable psychology of the consumer?
No, very interesting. And personally, I faced being guilty of, my shorts and reels consumption, which forces me to uninstall Instagram, from, time and time. And Pratik, really, given that, a user has only finite time during his day, which content consumption of, theirs are we truly replacing? Is it predominantly reels and shorts, or do you over a period of time expect us to also replace other content formats?
So I think in the beginning it will primarily be the reels and shorts time, because we're going after actually the snackable time. So we believe that the whole snackable space time is around somewhere between 2 to 3 hours. And we believe that this kind of content format, which is deeper storytelling, would actually take 50 to 60% of the entire time in the next 2 to 3 years. Having said that, there would be certain time slots, or for certain people that this format might also take the OTT's time. But yeah, primarily in the beginning, it will take all the snackable time pockets from Reels and Instagram, Reels and Shorts, and then some secondary time slots from the OTTs.
Pratik, you briefly spoke about the differentiation with video OTT. Kushal, actually, if I may ask that question to you, what are the differences compared to video OTT, also in terms of the kind of content?
Yes, I think it's a very valid question, right? So first difference is video OTT, the consumption is predetermined time, right? While for this category, it is more on the go, snackable, right? Short pocket, short burst of time. The second difference is the way video OTT acquires a user, right? So you would see a Netflix acquire Pushpa 2 for a large sum, right? Or you would see Geo Hotstar, right, acquire a lot of sports catalogs. So it's typically branded catalog through which you acquire the user. While in this case, it's non-branded, pretty much story-driven acquisition that you do. The second difference on the supply side is like the kind of production house that are working on this. So typically in a video OTT setup, right, you have big budgets, right? A series costs like 15-20 CR, a big production house is doing the entire thing end to end. While here it is much more democratized that way, right? Typically it's 10 to 15 lakhs of production and smaller short form agencies or ad agencies who kind of work on the production, right? So that's the basic difference.
Also, if you were to go to the next level, are there fundamental differences in the kind of cast one employs, the tenor of shooting, or even the locations?
Yes. So a lot of the content in OTT is face driven, right? Because you are pulling the audience, so they would want to see a big face, right? So they would want to see in Royals, they would want to see a Bhumi Pednekar or right, Ishan Khattar, which pulls the audience. While for us, like that's non-face, right? You try to give it to a lot more emerging creators or emerging actors, the roles. Location wise also, I think while video OTT plays on the grandness, right? For us, it is much more about story, right? Can I tell the story in a location, right, which is suited to the production, right? And not just talk about grandness. Hence the budget difference is there, right? Effectively.
Interesting. And for this category, in your view, what would be some of the success criteria to win or dominate this space?
Yes, I think one of the very important thing is that the content and product has to really move hand in hand, right? On the content side, we see that you really have to be very agile. You have to put out content at a very high frequency, right? Because freshness drives retention in a category like this, right? And you have to be really in sync with the user interest, right? So maybe there are Marathi slice of life dramas, there can be Malayalam satires, there can be Bhojpuri daily shows, right? You have to be really in sync with these local tastes of the audience, right? So that's very important. On the product side, what is really important is, are you able to gamify the product, right? See, OTT 1.0, as we call the video OTTs, you basically have a watch and go experience. But this is much more about interactivity. Like think of something like a baby of Netflix and Instagram, right? So are you able to interact with the content, right? Are you able to share it out, right? Are you able to play with that content, gamify it, right? So that is very important for a category like this to kind of go forward, yes.
Give maybe one or two examples of interactivity or user interacting with our content?
Yes. So it can be as simple as multiple storylines, right? And it like I think it's the concept is not new, right? Bandersnatch was there in Netflix, but can the user decide his journey in the story, right? Can we have like a Discord server where people are basically discussing the stories? Like people generally have a emotional connect with the character or the story, right? Are they able to basically discuss the various facets of the character there, right? Are they able to kind of form a community around the content, right? So that is very important. Typically in a video OTT, that is word of mouth, right? Because you watch and go, right? Here it has to be done on the product.
Right. So during the diligence process, at least I think the insight that you shared is that freshness is key to retention. At least that came out very, very clearly. If you don't innovate on the content and bring fresh,
Yes.
unique content to your platform, I think both your ability to monetize takes a beating, as well as the customers flock to other platforms where they can find more interesting, unique content. But how did you land up with this insight? Also talk through the journey of, this is a very, very core insight of the business. How did you land up with that?
Yes. So it is basically coming from at least my past experience working with the content platforms. Typically, there is this tail behavior, and what at least I have observed, right, personally, is as the content gets repetitive, the user basically moves away. So they like the retention is directly proportional to how fresh the content is. And this is coming from my past experiences working with the platforms, and that is what like at least I also kind of strive in content. Hence, like it makes total sense to us. Yes.
Very interesting. And see, one of the keys to our business is scaling freshness. Constantly, launching new and unique shows month on month. At least one of our hypotheses is that somebody who comes from the media background and carries that baggage that I know what will work and what will not work. I think that's good to get started, but that will not scale. Can you talk through, how will we go about scaling freshness, and how will we, deliver on content velocity?
Yeah. I think velocity has two components. One is the production process, and second is the content generation engine, right? Now, in production, what we are doing is we are working with these smaller agencies, short form agencies who are really agile on the ground, right? Who can kind of get out the production in 20 to 25 days, very fast on their feet. Second is we are really grooming them, trying to cut down the tats in their production process. So a lot of the processes can be done like they can be done parallelly instead of the sequential process that they're following. So just trying to kind of basically compress the production cycle is what we are doing on the production side to kind of get the velocity up and going. I think Pratik can cover the content generation part. Right.
So I think a couple of very interesting points you made. One is, I think you also alluded to the production agencies for video OTT are not amenable to this kind of format. You need a different DNA, which focuses on potentially efficiency and storytelling as opposed to the big faces. And I think one very interesting thing you said is, see, one of our keys of our business is when we generate a content series, we incur that upfront capex. Over a period of time, as the partner agencies get comfort, they also start incurring a part of that capex, which of course makes us more capital efficient. And Pratik would love to get your view on, the
script generation part. I think so. Like Kushal mentioned, the difference of efficiency in the production process. I think there are two key pillars in the script generation process also, where we are quite different, and we have to be different to actually win this industry. The first one is going to be, how are you able to convert the script selection or commissioning process from subjective, which is the norm of the industry because you're only doing 2 or 3 scripts, so you can be subjective and apply your years of experience intelligence. But here you're producing 10, 15, 20 series a month. So your process of selection has to be very, very objective. So, and we follow a very objective process where we try to test all of these scripts in a visually rich format, and whichever scripts typically meet the bar, there are certain benchmarks that we have arrived at after doing rounds of testing, are only actually commissioned for production. So first one is, how do you go from subjective to a very objective process? And it has to be very, very fast, very, very agile. So that's one. And second is, how do you do this at scale? Because doing this one part is okay, but to actually do this, to have 20 scripts approved, you probably have to test 300 and 400 scripts in a month. So how do you actually make it a very, very automated kind of pipeline where you keep generating these scripts, 300, 400, and you keep getting 20 scripts every month, is something where we have productized this entire life cycle so that we can do this in, let's say, 2 days from script to production approved. And that is one of the core that we have cracked right now, so that we can achieve this kind of agility and velocity.
And can you give more flavor behind the testing process that you spoke about?
Sure. So it's basically, so whenever we get those scripts, we try to convert those scripts into a visually rich format with the help of AI also. So AI helps a lot here, where you actually convert those scripts into a visual narration, visual plus narration, which you actually can test outside the app or inside the app, and see if I try to show it to, let's say, 1,000 users, how many users are actually interested in the story to go further. And if, let's say, story 1 is, if that number is, let's say, 70%, and story 2, that number is only 30%, you get your answer. Right, okay, story 1 is something which I will select of all the 20 stories that I tested. So try to be very, very objective. The key of this entire process is to do this very, very fast, because typically all of these steps take time, script generation, and then converting into assets which can be tested enough, and then analyzing the results and taking a call. But if you can productize it, it can be done in 2 days instead of, let's say, 7 to 10 days.
It reminds me of Pixar back in the day, which used to do offline human testing. Before, I think, any of their animated films would go to production, which is where the bulk of the cost lie, they would basically, make a bunch of storyboards, get a few representative customers and say that, does this seem interesting or not? And only if enough customers used to say, it's interesting enough, then it used to go to production. In many ways, we are doing it at a much faster pace online.
Same thing digitally at a much faster pace.
Interesting. Kushal, would love to get your holistic commentary on the content strategy and what could be the kinds of content that we are planning to put on a platform.
Yes. So now we're playing in snackable space, right? So one thing that we have to be really clear about, what are the kind of categories that we are not doing, right? That's very important to know. So we are not doing any of the UGC categories. What are UGC categories? Typically it is comedy, travel, health, fitness, beauty, where typically a user who has a camera, very low cost of production, is making your content, right? So you stay away from those categories, right? Because, right, suppose man, you start doing comedy, right, I'll never be able to beat you, right? So that is the first part. So you do PGC categories where a group of people have to come together to kind of make the content, and these are categories which are already there in your cinema and TV space: crime, fiction, love, heartbreak, right? These are the categories that you kind of go after. Now, coming to the kind of catalog, you basically make two kinds of catalog. One is acquisition catalog, right? Now, acquisition catalog is basically driven by emotions which make you feel unfulfilled, right? Which make you feel wanting more, something like a revenge. You want to know how the person would take revenge, right? So that is what is used for acquisition, which is used in the user marketing. The second is the retention catalog. Retention catalog is the catalog where the emotion is fulfilling. Imagine something like a Friends or Sarabhai versus Sarabhai, right? You feel fulfilled watching that catalog, and that drives your retention. So these are the two types of emotions which you kind of bring to the platform.
Interesting. Also, I think, we spoke about how, content can also be segmented into, live action, AI generated, licensed content, do also provide a flavor there.
There are basically four major types of content catalogs which are possible, right? First is the dubbed catalog, right? Dubbed catalog, the objective is to cold start the platform, right? So we are basically using all the catalogs which are available in China, US. You dub them, a pretty standard practice if you see Netflix, which it does with K-dramas, right? The second is the originals, where the platform commissions their own original content, right, which is much more suited to the Indian taste, basically sourced from the local stories. The third is the AVOD content, right, where you are basically taking existing horizontal catalog and basically editing and chopping it to make it fit for vertical. And the fourth and the important and the last piece is AI catalog, right? In fact, we have made 2 series live on the platform, and the completion rates are as good as the originals and the dubbed content, right? So we are very bullish about the fourth part as well, right? So the series that we have made live, they are entirely done with the help of Gen AI, starting from scripting to voiceover to visuals. It's still in a raw phase, but we see tremendous potential with all the new models coming out.
And do you think there are certain genres which are more amenable to, AI catalog?
Yes, it's a good question, right? Again, so AI catalogs, because you are trying to show some stories, you play with catalogs which are like fantasy, fiction, right? Where the user is still able to believe on the authenticity of the story, right? So you would not venture into emotions, right, where the character has to emote a lot, right, where maybe it's like heartbreak or love, because obviously it has to, maybe the models improve with time, but there's still a I think some time to go there where they can emote really well. But yes, fantasy, fiction, these are the catalogs that we see really well. They're performing in AI.
Right. And Sanidhya, would you like to add to that? In our business, what is the role of AI, and what are the different critical pieces of, tech platform that you're building?
So for us, AI will play central role in couple of key areas. One area definitely that Kushal touched upon is the content generation. So currently, our content generation pipeline looks like it starts from the scripting, then it goes to the storyboarding, and then it goes to the production, right? During the script writing phase, we are enabling script writers to generate scripts using AI. Also, if they have some script, they can fine tune their scripts using AI. Also, during the storyboarding phase, they can see the character visualization, scene visualization using AI. So we have built in-house tools which empowers all of this. And then we can also generate a promo sort of video which can be used for testing, as Pratik touched upon, right? We use these promo videos on Meta for testing how well the users are receptive to these stories, right? So we are heavily leveraging AI to generate content, and we believe in the long term, as Kushal also touched upon, then the couple of catalogs are already live on our platform. So we are probably like 6 months to 1 year away where we can generate the entire AI catalog on our own, and we can build long-term IPs on the characters and other things, right? So this is one part. And then also the second part is where we are going to build like ML-based models to power recommendations on our platform, right? Like how do we recommend content to the user which are based on the user's interest and all of that, which will essentially drive retention and engagement better for our platform.
Also, Sanidhya, can you talk about what are we seeing? What is the cost of, the AI catalog that we are generating? What is the cost of an AI catalog versus, let's say, our original content, which is live action?
Right, right. So currently the cost of AI is somewhere like closer to 1/5 of what we pay for our originals. And also the quality currently is slightly not great with the AI catalog. But in the long term, we believe that with the enhancements in the AI domain, the new models are coming out month on month basis. Very recently, the View 3 came out from Google, right? And we have experimented with that and we found the quality to be very good, right? So we believe that the cost is only going downwards in the future. We can probably do like 1/10 of the original cost for the AI catalog in the long term.
And I distinctly remember, I think when we were speaking at the time of diligence, I think there was a fair amount of skepticism if AI catalog will truly see adoption with customers, if that will be high quality enough. And I have seen all three of you gain a lot more conviction, as the many months have passed.
Yeah, the completion rates are surprising, to be very honest, right? Like, so they are doing as well as original and dubbed.
Saridhya, can you also articulate some of the key elements of our tech stack that we are building?
Yeah. So I think first and most important part for us is how do we enable our users to watch the videos seamlessly, right? I mean, for example, someone who is on low internet, right? How do we provide them an experience of seamless video streaming, right? So we have spent a lot of time building that, and we have somewhere there where our videos are already very good. And second part is the security aspects, like how do we prevent DDoS attack to our servers and those kind of things. And the third thing is how do we keep ourselves ready for 10x scale, right? How do we build systems which scale automatically with the incoming traffic, right? So these are the key areas for us where we are focusing on.
Coming to the key question, where is the money? How do we plan to make money? Pratik, how do we plan to monetize? What would be some of the key monetization streams?
Sure, I was waiting for this question. Cool. So if you see, primarily there are three kinds of monetization models in the content industry. One is advertising-based monetization. Second is subscription, which has also been running for quite long. And third is slightly newer, which is the microtransactions model, right? If you try to see the first one, which is the advertising model, in India, typically CPMs are very, very low, and a quality catalog built only on ad monetization model, the math simply doesn't work out. So ad monetization model alone will not work in India, at least for the next few years. What actually can work is a certain hybrid of either microtransactions and advertisements or microtransaction subscription. And let me try to give you an example. In Indian context, typically when you are starting out a platform, microtransactions work better because as a platform also you have less depth of the catalogs, and as a user also the trust on the platform is slightly on the lower side because it's a new platform for you. So microtransactions actually create that win-win situation for both the platform and the user. But there is also a cons to the microtransaction model, because as user develops a relationship with the product, then microtransactions are also costlier, because as you keep on consuming more, you have to pay a lot, which typically user feels that I have to shell out a lot of money from my pocket. So I think the key is to start with microtransactions and at certain point figure out what is the right point where you can graduate them to subscription model. So that's the hybrid of microtransaction subscription which can work in India. In addition, there could be some catalogs which are available on a free ad-based model, where you can have certain part of the revenue coming from the advertising model, but that would still be a secondary part. The primary part will come from here.
A speculative question, 10 years out, what do you think will contribute to a bulk of our monetization? Will it be more a user-led monetization or ad-led monetization? And similarly, in user-led monetization, more subscription-led or microtransaction-led?
Correct. So in 10 years, I think India is on growth trajectory. We have recently become the fourth largest GDP. So I'm sure that CPM rates will also grow up, and the user purchasing power will also proportionately grow up, right? So I believe that 10 years from now, user-led monetization will still be the larger portion. And there I think subscription would be a major part, because as incomes grow up, people paying capacity for subscription also start going up. So I would believe around 60-70% would be a user-led monetization, primarily subscriptions, because they're also comfortable with this kind of content format 10 years from now. And then the remaining 30-40% can come from ads, because CPMs will also start growing up and supporting these cost structures.
Understood. Great. And I think, thank you so much for choosing us as your partners in the journey. But I know you had options. Why did you pick us to be your partners? Kushal?
I think very clearly 2 points for us. I think Stellaris was one of those VCs which had a thesis on the market. So they were not really FOMO driven or looking at what others are doing. I think when we met you, right, we knew that you guys were coming with a mindset that, okay, this industry will work. Now we're trying to find the team which can do it, right? And I think that gave us a lot of confidence, because you had the confidence on the industry. Second point, which we felt really made the choice easier for us, was I think the process was so transparent. I think I remember telling Prateek on the first day that I know how the next 3 meetings are going to look like, right? So he had given us a good idea of how the process is going to go right? If we do not make it, what happens? If we make it, what happens, right? It was such a transparent process to be in. And I think both these points really made the job easier for us. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thanks a lot.